Alex Mercer was a man who seemed to have everything. His name was known in every boardroom and airport lounge. He owned one of the largest private jet companies in the world and had a fleet of luxurious jets that could travel anywhere in hours. His life was full of power, wealth, and speed. But one morning something happened that even all his money could not fix. The sun had barely risen when Alex strode into his private hangar. The air smelled faintly of fuel and metal, the scent that usually made him feel confident and in control. Today, however, he felt a strange tension in his chest. His most prized jet, a sleek silver aircraft with polished wings and roaring engines, refused to start. The engine panels blinked with warning lights, and the usual hum of readiness was replaced by silence. Alex's assistant, Leo, watched nervously. "Sir, I called 3 mechanics. All of them said it is strange. They can't find the problem." Alex ran his fingers through his dark hair and paced. "Impossible. Every mechanic I've hired is among the best in the world. How can they not fix it?" His voice was sharp, but inside he felt frustration and panic rising. The flight scheduled for that morning was critical. A deal worth millions depended on it. Delays were unacceptable. Mechanics hovered around the jet, muttering technical words Alex barely understood. They replaced wires, tested circuits, and checked engines over and over. Still, the jet sat silently as if mocking them. One mechanic wiped sweat from his forehead. "I don't understand, sir. It's as if the jet doesn't want to start." Alex clenched his fists. He was not used to failure. Money, reputation, and influence had always solved every problem. Yet here he was, powerless. The hangar felt unusually large and empty, echoing with the sound of metal and frustration. Outside, the morning sun cast long shadows over the concrete floor, highlighting the sense of urgency. As the adults argued and fretted, a quiet presence approached the hangar doors. Maya, a young girl, had been watching from a distance. She lived on the streets nearby, moving from place to place, often unnoticed. Her clothes were old and her shoes had holes, but her eyes were bright and curious. She had a fascination with machines that went beyond ordinary interest. Broken radios, old bicycles, abandoned scooters. She could take them apart and put them back together, often making them work better than before. Maya stepped closer, watching the scene unfold. She noticed the jet and her eyes sparkled. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Huge, shiny, and powerful, yet it was silent, still, broken. Something inside her stirred. She knew she could help. Inside, Alex was growing more anxious by the minute. "We cannot afford this failure." "I need that jet in the air now," he barked. His voice carried authority, but even he felt a pang of doubt. Every expert had tried and failed. What could he do next? Maya hesitated for a moment, then moved closer to the edge of the hangar. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "Maybe I can help." Her voice was quiet, but it carried determination. Leo noticed her. "Who is that?" he asked the nearby mechanic. "Just a girl," the mechanic replied, shaking his head. "Probably one of the street kids." "Why is she here?" Alex noticed her, too. He frowned. "What does she want?" "This is no place for a child." Maya lifted her chin slightly. "I can fix it," she said calmly. Her hands were small, smudged with dirt and grease, but she held herself with quiet confidence. Alex laughed, though it was not a warm laugh. "You? Fix my jet? You don't even have proper tools or training." Maya's eyes did not waver. "I understand. But I want to try." Alex stared at her. He had seen many unusual things in his life, but this small girl standing before him, confident and calm, made him pause. The mechanic scoffed quietly, exchanging looks of disbelief. Leo whispered, "Sir, maybe she is just a child." "This is dangerous." Alex rubbed his forehead. He could feel the tension in the hangar, the urgency of the situation pressing down on him. He looked at the jet, silent and still, and then back at the girl. He thought of the millions at stake, the contracts, the schedules, and the reputation he could not afford to lose. Finally, he sighed, a mixture of frustration and resignation. "Fine," he said. "You have 1 hour. If it doesn't work, you leave." "Understood?" Maya nodded, her dark eyes shining. She walked toward the jet carefully, as if she were approaching a living creature rather than a machine. She examined every panel, every wire, every engine component. Her hands moved with purpose, gently touching the metal, feeling the hum of the machinery. The mechanics watched her, their skepticism growing with each careful movement she made. They whispered among themselves, sometimes shaking their heads. "This is impossible," one said. "A child cannot fix this," but Maya did not hear them. She was focused on the jet, listening to it, feeling it, trying to understand what was wrong. She knew machines had moods, patterns, and weaknesses. If one listened carefully, one could hear the problem. Alex watched from a distance, pacing again. "I cannot believe this," he muttered. He was used to control, used to authority, but right now he was powerless. The girl moved quietly, almost invisible among the massive machines, yet her presence felt strong. Minutes passed. Maya studied a panel near the engine. She noticed a tiny overlooked wire that had been disconnected slightly. It was almost invisible, something the mechanics had ignored. She carefully reconnected it and adjusted a few circuits she had studied from old radios she had fixed in the past. A faint hum began to emerge from the engines. Everyone froze, looking at the jet with disbelief. The warning lights dimmed slightly. Maya smiled gently, continuing her careful work. She adjusted a lever, tested a connection, and wiped a bit of grease off the engine. The hum grew stronger, more confident. Alex's jaw dropped. He had seen his jet break down many times, but never in this way. "How is this possible?" he whispered. Maya shrugged. "Sometimes machines just need someone who listens, not someone who only follows instructions," she said softly. The engines roared to life fully. The jet's lights blinked, and the sound of readiness filled the hangar. Alex could not believe his eyes. The impossible had been achieved by a small girl from the streets. The mechanics stood frozen, mouths open. They had tried every tool, every method, every trick they knew, and yet this girl, with nothing but her knowledge and determination, had done it. Alex stepped closer, studying her face. "You fixed it?" His voice was a mixture of awe and disbelief. Maya nodded. "Yes, I listened to it. I understood what it needed." Alex felt a strange emotion rising in him. He was used to being the smartest, the most powerful person in every room. But right now he was humbled. He looked at Maya, this small girl with grease-stained hands and bright eyes, and realized he had found someone extraordinary. Outside, the morning sun shone brighter. The hangar felt alive with energy, hope, and possibility. Alex Mercer, the billionaire, had encountered failure, doubt, and frustration. But in the end, it was a young girl from the streets who brought life back to his prized jet. Maya looked at the massive aircraft and smiled quietly. For her, it was not about money or fame. It was about machines, challenges, and solving problems. But as she looked up at Alex, she noticed something she had never seen before in adults. A mixture of respect, surprise, and curiosity. The jet was ready. The engines hummed steadily. And in that moment, the world seemed to pause. The small girl, who no one had noticed before, had achieved the impossible. Alex realized that his life had just changed in ways he could not yet understand. After the jet roared to life, the hangar was filled with stunned silence. Alex Mercer could not take his eyes off Maya. She was small, her clothes worn and dirty, but her eyes shone with quiet confidence. She had fixed what no expert could. "Come here," Alex said finally, his voice calm but firm. Maya stepped closer, wiping her hands on a rag she had found on the floor. Her fingers were black with grease and small scratches lined her palms, but she did not complain. She had been focused entirely on the jet, and now she looked up at Alex without fear. "You did something extraordinary," Alex said. "No one has ever done what you just did. How did you know what to do?" Maya hesitated. She had never been asked that question before. Most people ignored her entirely, or treated her as invisible. "I listen," she said softly. "I try to understand. Machines tell you things if you pay attention." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Machines tell you things?" Maya nodded. "Yes, you have to watch, touch, and feel. You cannot just follow instructions. Machines have needs like people. They get sick or tired, and they need someone to care." Alex studied her carefully. He had traveled the world, met geniuses, engineers, and inventors. He had never met anyone like her. She spoke calmly, but her words carried knowledge beyond her years. Her confidence was not arrogance. It was understanding. Leo, Alex's assistant, cleared his throat. "Sir, maybe we should be cautious. She is very young. We do not know what she can or cannot do. This is a very expensive jet." Alex waved his hand dismissively. "I know that, Leo. I saw what she did. That is enough for me," the mechanics muttered to themselves. One of them, an older man named Robert, spoke reluctantly. "I have seen a lot in my career, but this is unbelievable. I cannot explain it," Maya smiled faintly. She did not feel proud. Pride was dangerous, she thought. It made people careless. She had helped the jet because she loved fixing things, not to impress anyone. Alex took a deep breath. He made a decision that surprised even himself. "I want you to work with me," he said. Maya blinked. "Work with you?" she repeated. "Yes," Alex said firmly. "I will give you tools, books, and everything you need to learn. You can work in my hangar. You can study, practice, and fix machines for me. You have a talent that I have never seen before, and I will not let it go to waste." Maya looked down. She had never had an offer like this in her life. No one had ever seen her ability as valuable. She had lived on the streets for as long as she could remember, surviving day by day. A place like this with machines, tools, and opportunity seemed almost impossible. I do not need money," she said finally. "I just want to learn and help," Alex smiled. "You will get more than money. You will get knowledge and respect. That is more important than anything." Leo looked doubtful. "Sir, are you sure this is a good idea? She is very young and inexperienced in the world of professional mechanics." Alex shook his head. "Experience is not the same as talent. She has talent. I can see it. And sometimes, the right person is not the one with degrees or certificates. It is the one who listens, observes, and understands." Maya looked up at him. She had not expected this. Most adults ignored her completely or scolded her for being in places she did not belong. Alex treated her as if she mattered. She felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. "Okay," she said finally. "I will try." Alex nodded. "Good. Tomorrow you start in my hangar. Today rest. You have earned it." As Maya left the hangar, she felt a strange excitement. For the first time, she had a purpose beyond survival. She would work with the most expensive machines she had ever seen. She would learn. She would grow. The next morning, Maya arrived at Alex's main hangar. The building was enormous, filled with jets, helicopters, and cars. The smell of fuel, metal, and oil was strong, but it was a smell she loved. She walked slowly, absorbing everything, her eyes wide with wonder. Alex met her at the entrance. "Welcome," he said simply. "This will be your workspace. You have access to any tool or book you need. I expect honesty, focus, and effort. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Maya said. The hangar was bustling with mechanics and engineers. Most of them were surprised to see her there. A young girl, new and untrained, working alongside experts was unheard of. Some of them whispered. Others watched silently, waiting for a mistake. Maya was not afraid. She focused on the jet she had fixed yesterday. She inspected it carefully, noticing details she had missed before. She wiped down the panels, checked the circuits, and recorded observations in a small notebook she had brought. She learned quickly, understanding not only the jet but also the patterns of the hangar and its people. Alex observed her from a distance. He was impressed by her focus and patience. She did not rush. She did not demand attention. She simply worked and learned. He realized that she had a rare quality, dedication combined with humility. Most people in his world were proud and impatient. Maya was different. As the days passed, Maya's skill became more apparent. She helped fix engines, check circuits, and even repaired small tools that the other mechanics had given up on. Every success increased her confidence, and Alex's respect for her grew. One day, Alex approached her while she was examining a jet engine. "You are learning very fast," he said. Maya looked up. "I want to learn everything," she said simply. Alex nodded. "Good. You will need that attitude. The work here is not easy. Machines are complex and mistakes can be costly. But I trust you." "I have never trusted anyone like this before." Maya smiled faintly. She had never had trust before. Most people assumed she would fail. Alex had shown her that someone believed in her. That belief gave her strength. Over time, she became part of the hangar. The mechanics began to accept her. Some were still skeptical, but they could not deny her talent. They watched as she carefully inspected machines, asked intelligent questions, and offered solutions they had not considered. One evening, Alex called her to his office. "Maya," he said, "you have done more than I expected. I want you to continue learning, but I also want you to know something. Talent like yours is rare. Do not let anyone make you feel small or unimportant. You have value, and you will achieve great things if you keep listening, learning, and believing in yourself." Maya nodded. She did not often hear words like that. Most adults only criticized or ignored her. Alex's words made her heart feel light. For the first time, she felt that her life could change. That night, as she left the hangar, she looked up at the sky. The stars were bright, and the city below seemed full of possibilities. She felt a quiet determination. She would work hard, learn everything she could, and prove that even someone from the streets could achieve great things. The hangar lights dimmed behind her, but inside, the machines hummed softly. They had been fixed, cared for, and respected. Maya smiled as she walked away. She knew this was only the beginning. She had found a place where she belonged, where her skills mattered, and where her future could be brighter than she had ever imagined. Alex watched her from the office window. He felt a rare feeling, hope. Hope that someone who had been overlooked could become extraordinary. He realized that life sometimes brought surprises in the smallest forms, and he was grateful that he had noticed Maya. The next morning, Maya returned with renewed energy. She was ready to face new challenges, explore the machines, and prove her abilities. She knew the road ahead would be long, but she was prepared. She had courage, skill, and now someone who believed in her. And in the hangar, surrounded by machines, Maya began a journey that would change her life forever. Maya's first week in the hangar passed quickly. She had learned the names of tools, the functions of different engines, and the careful ways to check circuits. Alex had kept his promise. She had access to any tool or book she needed. The other mechanics had begun to respect her in silence, even if some of them still doubted a young girl could do much in a world dominated by experienced engineers. One morning, Alex called an urgent meeting in the hangar. A private client's jet had developed a serious engine problem. The mechanics who had been sent to fix it could not identify the cause. The jet was expensive, rare, and had to be ready for a flight in less than 24 hours. The company could not afford a delay. Alex turned to the group, his expression serious. "I want this jet fixed immediately," he said. "If anyone can do it, I believe Maya can." Maya felt her heart beat faster. She had never worked on such a complex problem before. The jet's engine was massive, far beyond the size of the smaller planes she had studied. But she did not hesitate. She had learned to listen, to watch, and to understand machines, and she knew she could try. The other mechanics exchanged uncertain glances. Robert, the oldest mechanic, muttered, "It is impossible. Even with all our experience, we could not fix this engine." "What makes you think a young girl can?" Alex ignored him. "I want her to try. If she fails, we will continue searching for a solution together. But I trust her." Maya approached the jet, her hand steady despite the tension in the hangar. She examined the engine carefully, taking notes and checking connections. The other mechanics watched quietly, some impressed, others skeptical. She noticed things they had missed: tiny leaks in the fuel lines, a misaligned sensor, and a small, nearly invisible crack in the wiring. She started by repairing the misaligned sensor. Her hands moved quickly but carefully, twisting wires, tightening screws, and cleaning dirty circuits. As she worked, she whispered to herself, "Talk to me. Tell me what you need." It was a habit she had developed from years of fixing abandoned machines. She treated every engine as a living thing. Hours passed. Sweat gathered on her forehead, and her fingers were cut and smeared with grease. Still, she worked patiently, refusing to rush. The other mechanics tried to help, but Maya directed them gently, asking them to check specific connections and guide her when needed. Slowly, the engine began to respond. The hum of life, faint at first, grew steadily. Alex watched from a distance, silently amazed. The jet's engine, which had been stubborn for days, now seemed to awaken under Maya's careful hands. He realized that her talent was not just in skill, but in understanding. She could see what others could not because she approached problems differently. Finally, Maya adjusted the last connection and wiped her hands. The jet roared to life, smooth and powerful. Its engines hummed evenly, lights blinking in perfect sequence. The hangar was silent for a moment, then erupted in quiet applause. Even Robert nodded, unable to hide his astonishment. "You did it," Alex said, walking toward her. "No one else could have fixed this." Maya looked up, exhausted but smiling. "It listened," she said softly. "It just needed someone to understand it." The other mechanics gathered around, asking questions, wanting to know how she had found the problem. Maya explained simply, showing them the tiny crack and the sensor adjustment. They listened, amazed at her observation and patience. That afternoon, Alex called Maya to his office. He poured a cup of water for her and gestured for her to sit. "Maya," he said, "today you proved something incredible. You fixed what no one else could, and you did it with patience and respect. I am proud of you." Maya felt warmth in her chest. She was not used to praise. Most people had ignored her or treated her with suspicion. Alex's words made her feel seen and valued. "You have more potential than you realize," Alex continued. "But you must always be careful. Talents like yours can attract jealousy and criticism. Some people may not understand or appreciate what you can do. Do not let them discourage you," Maya nodded. She had already felt some of that. Some mechanics had whispered about her behind her back, questioning if she could handle the work. But she had ignored them. She knew that skill and effort spoke louder than words. The next few days were filled with new challenges. Alex assigned her to inspect another jet, a smaller model which had electrical issues. Maya studied the wiring diagrams, traced circuits, and found a weak connection that had caused a short. She repaired it carefully, making the jet fully operational. The mechanics who had been skeptical began to offer advice and guidance instead of criticism. Even Leo, who had worried about her in the beginning, now spoke with respect. "She really understands these machines. I have never seen anyone like her," Maya smiled quietly. She had learned that respect had to be earned, and she was earning it one repair at a time. But she also knew that learning never ended. Every jet engine and tool taught her something new. She studied patterns, listened to the engines, and asked questions constantly. One evening, Alex brought her to the hangar balcony, overlooking the rows of jets. "Maya," he said, "do you know why I brought you here?" Maya shook her head. "I have seen many engineers in my life. Some are brilliant, some are clever, but most follow rules without understanding. You are different. You see beyond instructions. You listen, observe, and adapt. That is why I believe in you." Maya felt a sense of pride and responsibility. She had never had someone believe in her like this. It gave her courage to work harder and dream bigger. The next morning, Maya faced another challenge. A client's car had broken down and the mechanics could not find the cause. Maya examined the engine carefully. It was old and rusted, but she approached it the same way she approached the jets, with patience and attention. She found a worn-out spark plug and a small leak in the fuel line. With careful adjustments, the car roared to life. Alex, who had accompanied her, smiled quietly. "You see patterns others miss. That is why you succeed," Maya smiled back. She had learned something important. Problems were not always solved by force or authority. They were solved by attention, understanding, and care. She knew that these lessons would stay with her forever. Over the following weeks, Maya's reputation grew. She became known in the hangar as the girl who could fix anything. Clients began requesting her specifically. The other mechanics no longer whispered doubts. Instead, they sought her guidance on tricky problems. One day, Alex called her to a private meeting. "Maya," he said, "your talent is rare. But talent alone is not enough. You must also understand responsibility. You are working with expensive, powerful machines. One mistake can have serious consequences. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Maya replied firmly. "I will be careful and always do my best." Alex nodded. "Good, I trust you. That trust is earned, and you have earned mine." Maya left the office feeling proud and determined. She had gone from a girl living on the streets to someone respected and trusted in a hangar full of skilled professionals. She had faced challenges, solved problems, and learned to believe in her own abilities. As she worked on another jet that evening, she reflected on her journey so far. She had learned that talent, courage, and patience could overcome even the most difficult challenges. She had found people who believed in her, and she had found a place where she belonged. And for the first time in her life, Maya felt that the future was not just about survival. It was about possibilities, learning, and growth. She had the skill, the determination, and now the guidance she needed to achieve more than she had ever imagined. The hangar lights shone brightly around her as she worked, and the machines hummed softly, almost as if they were cheering her on. Maya smiled to herself. She knew that the road ahead would bring more challenges, but she was ready. She had the courage, the talent, and the belief that she could overcome anything. And in the quiet moments, she whispered to herself, "I can do this. I will do this." Weeks passed, and Maya had grown more confident in the hangar. She could read engines like a book and solve problems that even experienced mechanics struggled with. But Alex knew that talent alone was not enough. She needed a true test, a challenge that would push her skills and courage to the limit. One morning, Alex called her into his office. He looked serious but calm. "Maya," he said. "We have an urgent situation. A client's jet is stranded on a small airstrip in another city. The engines are unstable and no mechanic on site has been able to fix it. The flight is critical and the jet cannot be delayed. I want you to go there and handle it." Maya felt her heart race. Traveling alone to repair a complex jet in a strange location was a huge responsibility. But she did not hesitate. "I can do it," she said firmly. Alex nodded. "I knew you would say that." "You leave this afternoon. Leo will accompany you. Take every tool and spare part you need. I trust your judgment." By late afternoon, Maya and Leo arrived at the small airstrip. The jet stood on the tarmac, gleaming under the evening sun, but its engines hummed unevenly, threatening to fail at any moment. The local mechanics were baffled and had given up, shaking their heads as they watched her approach. Maya walked around the jet carefully, observing the engines, the fuel system, and the electronics. She listened to the vibrations, studied the fuel lines, and checked connections she had been taught to monitor. Leo watched in awe, impressed by her calm focus. Hours passed. The sun set, casting a golden glow across the airstrip, but Maya did not stop. She worked methodically, checking every detail, cleaning circuits, adjusting sensors, and tightening connections. Her hands were covered in grease and her clothes were smudged, but she did not complain. She had learned that patience and careful observation were more important than speed. The local mechanics whispered to each other. "She is only a girl," one said. "How can she handle this?" But Maya ignored them. She had learned not to worry about doubt or disbelief. She focused only on the task at hand. Slowly, she discovered the core problem. A subtle misalignment in the fuel injector system, something no one had noticed. Carefully, she adjusted it and recalibrated the engine sensors. Finally, she wiped her hands and prepared to start the engines. Leo held his breath. The other mechanic stepped back, skeptical but curious. Maya turned the key and the engine roared to life smoothly, stronger than before. The jet hummed steadily, ready to fly. Alex, who had been monitoring via video call, smiled quietly. "She did it again," he said. "Incredible." The client arrived soon after and was astonished to see the jet operating perfectly. He had expected delays, additional costs, and frustration. Instead, he saw a young girl standing confidently next to a complex machine she had just fixed. "This is amazing," the client said. "Who is responsible for this?" Maya stepped forward. "I am," she said simply. The client looked at her in surprise. Are you trained?" Maya shook her head. "I learned by observing, practicing, and listening to machines. That is how I fix them." The client's eyes widened. "This is extraordinary. You have saved us time, money, and stress. I'm impressed." Maya smiled politely. She had grown used to surprises but remained humble. Praise was nice, but she valued learning and understanding more than recognition. That evening, Maya and Leo returned to the main hangar. Alex met them at the entrance. "You have passed your first real test," he said. "You worked under pressure in an unfamiliar place with a complicated problem. And you succeeded. I am proud of you." Maya felt a surge of pride. She had come a long way from the streets, from fixing small broken things to handling complex jets under intense pressure. She realized that her skills were not just useful, they could make a real difference in people's lives. The next morning, a new challenge awaited. Alex had been contacted by a client who owned a fleet of luxury jets. One of the jets had a rare problem that even experienced engineers could not identify. Alex called Maya to his office. "This will be difficult," he said. "No one else has been able to fix it. I want you to try." Maya nodded. She had learned not to fear difficulty. Every challenge was an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to prove herself. At the hangar, she examined the jet carefully. The engines were unusual, designed for high speed and efficiency. Every system was connected in ways she had never seen before. The other mechanics watched quietly. Some were still skeptical, but they respected her skill. Maya began her work. She traced circuits, tested sensors, and studied the engine vibrations. Hours passed and she faced moments of doubt. Some adjustments did not work. Some readings seemed wrong, but she remained calm. She knew that persistence, patience, and observation would lead her to the solution. By late afternoon, she noticed a subtle electrical misalignment that had caused the engines to malfunction intermittently. Carefully, she adjusted the connections and recalibrated the sensors. Then she tested the engines. The jet hummed smoothly, stronger than before. The other mechanics gasped. They had never seen such a delicate and precise adjustment succeed so quickly. Alex watched from his office, impressed and proud. "She does not just fix machines," he said. "She understands them." The client arrived and was astonished to see the jet operating perfectly. "This is incredible," he said. "You have done what no one else could." "I'm very grateful." Maya nodded politely. "I am happy it is working," she said. After the client left, Alex called her to his office. "Maya," he said, "you have proven something important. Talent is rare, but courage, persistence, and understanding are what make it valuable. You have all three, and that is why I trust you." Maya felt a warm sense of pride. She had faced her first major public challenge and succeeded. She had shown herself and the world that skill and determination could overcome even the most difficult obstacles. Over the next few weeks, Maya continued to learn and grow. She studied new types of jets, engines, and machines. She helped other mechanics solve problems and shared her knowledge patiently. Her reputation grew and people began to seek her advice even for minor issues. Alex noticed a change in her. She was more confident, patient, and precise. She had learned to trust her instincts, to observe carefully, and to solve problems efficiently. She had also learned the value of teamwork, relying on others when necessary but leading when required. One evening, as she walked through the hangar, Maya reflected on how far she had come. She remembered the streets, the nights without shelter, and the days when she had nothing. Now she had a purpose, a place where her skills were valued, and a mentor who believed in her. Alex approached her quietly. "Maya," he said, "you are ready for bigger challenges. Soon, you will face problems that will test everything you have learned. But I know you will succeed. You have the courage, the skill, and the determination to handle anything." Maya nodded. She felt ready. She had learned that challenges were not obstacles. They were opportunities to grow, to learn, and to prove herself. She had also learned that belief in herself, combined with hard work, could make the impossible possible. The hangar lights shone brightly as she worked late into the evening, surrounded by machines that hummed in quiet approval. She smiled to herself, thinking of the journey ahead. She knew that more challenges awaited, but she felt prepared. And in that moment, Maya understood something important. It was not just her skill that mattered. It was her courage, her patience, and her willingness to listen, observe, and understand. With those qualities, she could achieve anything, even in a world that had once overlooked her. The morning sun shone brightly over the hangar as Maya arrived, carrying her toolbox and notebook. Today was not an ordinary day. Alex had received an urgent call from an important international client. Their jet, a rare and highly advanced model, had developed a critical problem that no mechanic had been able to fix. The jet was grounded and the flight was essential for a global conference. Alex met Maya at the entrance. "This is your biggest challenge yet," he said. His voice was calm, but there was a weight in it that Maya could feel. "I need you to fix this jet and you will have full access to all tools and support. But remember, this is delicate work. One mistake could be costly." Maya nodded. She had learned to respect machines and their complexity. She had faced pressure before, but this was different. The jet was advanced, its systems intricate, and the timeline tight. Yet she felt ready. She had grown in skill, confidence, and patience over the past weeks. The jet stood on the tarmac, gleaming under the morning sun. Its engines were silent and the warning lights blinked steadily. Local mechanics had tried everything. They looked skeptical as Maya approached, but she ignored the doubt. She had learned that confidence and focus were as important as skill. She started by carefully inspecting the engines, circuits, and fuel systems. She checked connections, examined wiring, and studied the sensors. Every system was complex, but she worked methodically, taking careful notes and observing patterns. She listened to the engines, feeling their subtle vibrations and sounds. They spoke to her in a way that only someone who truly cared could understand. Hours passed. Maya adjusted sensors, replaced worn components, and realigned small but crucial parts of the engine. She tested connections repeatedly, ensuring everything was precise. The mechanics around her watched quietly, some whispering in astonishment, others simply staring. Leo, who had accompanied her, could not hide his admiration. "I have never seen anyone work like this," he said softly. "She understands every detail, every nuance." Maya smiled faintly, wiping sweat from her brow. Praise was not her goal. Focus, understanding, and careful observation were what mattered. She continued her work, determined to solve the problem. Finally, after hours of patient effort, she noticed the key issue: a tiny misalignment in the fuel regulator that had caused the engines to falter intermittently. No one else had seen it. Carefully, she adjusted it and recalibrated the system. Her hands moved steadily, precise and confident. She stepped back and activated the engines. The jet roared to life, smooth and powerful, its system stabilizing perfectly. The hangar fell silent for a moment, then erupted in astonished murmurs. The local mechanics were speechless. The jet, which had been impossible to fix, now hummed like a living machine. Alex, watching through a video feed, could not help but smile. "She did it again," he said quietly. "She is extraordinary." The client arrived shortly after. Their eyes widened as they saw the jet operating flawlessly. "This is incredible," the client said. "Who fixed it?" Maya stepped forward calmly. "I did," she said simply. The client looked at her in surprise. Are you trained?" Maya shook her head. "I learned by observing, practicing, and listening to machines," she explained. "That is how I fix them." The client's expression shifted from surprise to admiration. "You have done what no one else could. You have saved time, money, and prevented a major delay. I am truly impressed," Maya smiled politely. She had learned that humility was as important as skill. Recognition was rewarding, but understanding and solving the problem mattered most to her. Back at the main hangar, Alex called a team meeting. Mechanics, clients, and staff gathered. He addressed the room. "Today, Maya has achieved something remarkable. She has solved a problem that no one else could. Under immense pressure and complexity, she has shown skill, patience, and courage. We must all learn from her example." The room erupted in applause. The skeptical mechanics now looked at Maya with respect. Some approached her to ask questions, to learn how she had solved the problem. She answered patiently, explaining the adjustments, calibrations, and observations that had led to success. Alex approached her privately after the meeting. "Maya," he said, "you have done more than just fix a jet. You have proven that determination, patience, and understanding are just as important as talent. You have grown beyond what I imagined. I am proud of you." Maya felt a warmth in her chest. She had come so far from the streets, from nights without shelter and days without purpose. Now she was respected, trusted, and valued for her skills. She realized that her life had changed completely. Over the next few weeks, Maya continued to work on various jets and vehicles, solving problems, learning, and teaching others. She had become an essential part of Alex's team. Clients specifically requested her expertise, and she handled every challenge with confidence and humility. One evening, as she cleaned her tools and prepared to leave the hangar, Alex approached. "Maya," he said, "I want to offer you something more permanent. You have proven yourself, and I want you to have a place here not just as a mechanic, but as someone I can trust with important responsibilities. Will you accept?" Maya's eyes widened. She had never had an opportunity like this before. "Yes, sir," she said quietly but firmly. "I would be honored," Alex smiled. "Good. You will have training, resources, and the chance to continue learning. But most importantly, you will have a place where you belong." Maya felt a sense of relief and happiness she had never experienced. She realized that her journey had led her not only to skill and recognition, but also to a place of security and belonging. She was no longer alone in the world. The following months were filled with growth and learning. Maya became an expert in various systems from jets to vehicles, mastering skills that even experienced mechanics respected. She gained confidence in her abilities, understanding the machines and guiding others with patience and insight. One day, Alex called her to the main hangar. A large group of mechanics, clients, and staff were gathered. "Today," he said, "we celebrate someone extraordinary. Maya, from a girl who had nothing to someone who has solved the impossible and earned our trust. You inspire us all." Maya felt her cheeks flush as the crowd applauded. She had never been celebrated before. She realized that her skills, courage, and persistence had earned her more than recognition. They had earned her a family and a place in the world. She stepped forward and addressed the room. "I did not do this alone," she said softly. "I have learned from everyone here, and I have been guided by those who believed in me. I am grateful for the opportunity to grow and to help. Machines are not just tools, they are challenges, teachers, and companions. And with patience, care, and understanding, anything is possible." The crowd erupted in applause again. Alex smiled proudly. He had found someone rare, someone who could handle not only machines but responsibility, pressure, and the respect of others. That evening, as the hangar emptied, Maya stood alone, looking at the rows of jets. She remembered the streets, the nights without shelter, the uncertainty of survival. Now she had a future filled with opportunity, learning, and belonging. She realized that courage, persistence, and the willingness to learn could change a life completely. Alex approached quietly. "Maya," he said, "you have proven that even the impossible can be achieved. Your journey is just beginning. The world is wide and there are many challenges ahead, but I have no doubt you will succeed." Maya nodded, her heart full of determination. She had faced challenges, solved problems, and grown stronger with every test. She knew that the future would bring more obstacles, but she was ready. She had skill, courage, and support. She had found a place where she belonged. As she walked through the hangar, the machines seemed to hum around her, almost as if acknowledging her presence. She smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment and purpose. She had gone from being overlooked and ignored to someone respected, trusted, and capable of achieving the impossible. And for the first time, Maya felt truly free. Free to learn, to grow, and to make a difference. Free to show the world that determination, patience, and understanding could overcome any challenge. Her journey had begun on the streets, alone and uncertain. Now it continued in a place of learning, respect, and opportunity. Maya had found her purpose and the world had opened its doors to her. She whispered softly to herself, smiling, "I did it. I can do anything." And in that moment, surrounded by machines, mentors, and colleagues, Maya knew that nothing could stop her. She had earned her place, her respect, and her future.